Oh, okay. Again, on the Valley playoff team, we were in the early years. We didn't have large teams, but we had strong teams. We did a lot of workout, and in our day, I would say back at those times, distance swimming was not really that important. Now everyone swims miles and miles just to warm up. In the old days, we were one of the few that was doing the miles and miles, and I know most of my swimmers probably remember that, but that proved out to be the case. This is for Mark Fernando. Mark Fernando, when we first came to town, basically he was our neighbor right across the street from us, so anytime you were looking for a Fernando, they were real close. What I want to talk to you about on Mark, though, he was also a basketball player. He was a water polo player. He was a freestyle and a butterflyer. He probably was the best water polo player I've ever come across in high school, and I have to give his basketball coaches some of that credit. But he was actually one of the top scorers on offense. He was also well on defense. He was a fast swimmer. I would have to say that he was the swimmer, a fast swimmer, because of Buzz Johnson, a name that was around here way before I got here. So I hate to take too much credit as a coach when you've got good material like that coming out, and it does make you very humble. I don't think I missed anything other than Gus was also on those same water polo teams, and on the Valley champ, the league champs, and the league undefeated champs. And he's not here right now. Mark, you're here. Would you come up, please?
Doesn't have an on-off button, that's why it picked me up. Steve's going to come up and do the introduction of his brother, Mark. And you can shake your hand with Gary Schafer. He's going to stay here until he gets it, and then I'll go over Gus Ortiz. By the way, I don't know if Steve read the program, but Mark's the first inductee in the Hall of Fame for water polo, basketball, and swimming. So you don't have to come back anymore, but you're always invited to come back every year.
You hear me? All right, my name is Steve Fernando, and I'm privileged to introduce my brother to the Hall of Fame. He asked me to present this because he thought it was me that got him into competitive sports. I had a part in it, but our dad was an excellent high school athlete, as you heard. His teaching and encouragement taught us all about competition and fair play. And my part was telling Mark, you can go with us to the swim meet, or you can stay home and pull weeds with Dad. So whether throwing a curveball, football spirals, or swinging a golf club, Dad gave Mark the tools. Mark's desire and dedication to practice paved the way to winning. But more than Mark's accomplishments, which were very impressive, I want to convey to you how much he loved sports. Doesn't matter what sport it is that day, Mark's enthusiasm shines. Sports career was not without some setbacks. An early accident that I'm sure he'll remember took 180 stitches to repair 2 fingers. And his dominating curveball in Little League led to elbow surgery. But more than the pain of the injury was watching him suffer because he couldn't go play. Delano High Athletics consisted of water polo, basketball, and swimming. Mark's senior year, he was all-league in water polo and Valley champion in swimming. Basketball was his passion, and I remember his gym-only Chuck Taylors and number 34 were his trademarks. He was all-league his senior year and named Athlete of the Year in 1973. Mark also garnered the coveted blanket award. You guys still have that blanket in the gym? Anyway, for all 3 sports in 1973. Upon graduation from high school, something I'm very proud of, he was accepted at both West Point and the Air Force Academy. And I got a nice trip to the Air Force Academy to go check it out. When he found out that he could only fly the big jets, couldn't fit into the ejection seats, he says, see you later. So scholarships in swimming and water polo took him to the University of Wyoming. And I recall he made the basketball team as well as a walk-on. And as soon as the swim coach found out about it, that got canceled. Wyoming winters were too much for him, and he returned to graduate from San Jose State with degrees in electrical engineering and marketing. Part of the recruitment that GE threw in front of him was, if you're not at your office on Wednesday, you better be on the golf course. So Mark's natural abilities, engineer perfection, and lots of practice led to the club championship at Wasco Valley Rose 2003, 2004, 2005, and he qualified for the United States Amateur Open at Wingfoot in 2004. After retiring from GE, Mark became a PGA professional at Coronado Island Golf Course. He made several trips to Europe to try to qualify for the European Senior Pro Tour, and I recall one year he came within one stroke of making the show. Qualified for the United States Senior Open as a pro at Whistling Straits in 2007. He was club champion at the Country Club of Rancho Bernardo in 2018, and the senior club champion in 2018, and is the current 2019 club champion. I'm sure his competitive drive will always be with him, and with his joy of playing, whether it's golf or pickleball with his wife Marcia. His kids and grandkids will all love playing with him, playing with Lolo. Grandpa will always be there to coach them, and he'll be there for them just as our dad was there for us. So now, my brother Mark.
I know it does, but hold it up to your mouth.
Hold it up to my mouth. Can you hear me? Well, first of all, it seems like everybody lived on my street. Didn't it? Gerard, Schafer. Anyway, I grew up a pretty quiet and shy kid, but early on I learned that athletics was an easy way to make friends. So sports for me was a social tool. It gave me a way to fit in. And the better you were, the sooner you got picked for teams. I also loved the competition, as my brother said. Still do. And as you can see by the recipients tonight, we had some pretty good competitors. I also didn't have to look far from household for competition. My brothers and I, we always competed for everything. In fact, because I'm shy and modest, I won't tell you who won my little family's competition today. But this candy bar that I have back in my pocket will really taste good tonight afterwards. Well, what I really wanted to talk to you about tonight was how great it was growing up in this town and attending this high school. I realized things like riding bikes everywhere, walking to school, being allowed to play 3 sports were really not the norm. I took it for granted because it was all I knew. Now I have raised kids in other areas, and it has become apparent that we were pretty darn lucky. So I want to thank this community for a great place to grow up, and I thank you for this honor. It means a lot to me and my family. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read really quickly about Gus Ortiz. He's not here, but Mr. Morrison makes CDs?
Blu-ray.
DVDs? Okay, he makes one and we'll mail it to every inductee. So if you're not sure that Monty, raise your hand again. If you don't know that Monty Marshall has your address, be sure and get the address so he can mail out the DVDs that Mr. Morrison is one of these guys, you know, we don't need this for 2 months, but he'll go home tonight and stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning to get the DVDs made for you. Gus Ortiz and his wife are in Scotland now. He described himself as a grade school student, unlikely to become an athlete. He said he was always the short kid in class and never watched sports. Quote, I was always picked last for intramural sports. He said he was he tried football and baseball and then started summer recreational swimming when he was 9 or 10 years old. He got a lot of 8th place ribbons for several years. In the summer of '69, when he graduated from 8th grade, he said something changed about his swimming career. He said he actually qualified 9th for the final Summer Valley Championship swim meet, put him in the second heat, and something happened the week before the last summer meet in Valley. In the breaststroke, he tied the Valley record and qualified first for the finals. He says in the finals, he broke the county record and improved his time by over 10 seconds from the previous best, and it was the first race he'd ever won. He started JV water polo the winter of 1969-70, selected by teammates, most inspirational in 1970. JV All-League in 1970, started varsity water polo in the winter of '71, selected most inspirational in '71-72, team captain in '71, varsity All-League in '72. So he went pretty good from a guy that couldn't even make the team. His freshman year in the spring of '70, he swam B's, was undefeated in the breaststroke, swam the breaststroke on the medley relay team and other races. He was on the varsity team for 3 years. He said he didn't lose a race his senior year, and he was second as a sophomore to the defending Valley champion. And he said on academic scholarship, he attended University of Santa Clara, started varsity water polo in the fall of '73, coached the Porterville water polo team the winter of '79. He said he lost their first game against Delano High, but he said when he played the second one, we won our second game in Porterville against my former coach, Gary Schafer. You can send him bad feelings about that. Apart from meeting his wife of 62 plus years at Delano High, Nelda Boland, class of '74, and female lead in the 1974 Delano High production of Fiddler on the Roof, he said some of his fondest memories were working on the school newspaper, The Live Wire, for 3.5 years, being a sports photographer and attending every football and basketball game with me for 3 years, and doing some live basketball broadcasting with me on KCHJ his junior year. He attended the '72 Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany, saying City Parks and Recreation Director Titch Copeland helped him find an apartment in Munich to stay in. He graduated 7th in his class, 3.93 GPA, the highest of any athlete, he said. He said his time at Delano High taught me many things, and my time in Tiger Sports taught me important life lessons. So for all of you young athletes in whatever sport, learn the lesson of sport and put it to work in every part of your life. Train hard, work to do better every day, focus on gaining victory for the team and not just yourself. Find ways to get the best performance from your teammates. Never stop learning new things, constantly add to your skill set. These lessons will pay big dividends in sports, in life, in your career, and in your relationships. Thank you for this recognition. Gus Ortiz, Delano High, class of 1973. Okay, we are very privileged here tonight to have Mr. Terry Moreland, the wrestling coach. When he was here at Delano High, I think we had the best rally in history of the school, because he had guys who were on the teaching staff wrestle against members of his championship team. And Terry, he was willing to wrestle Alvin Shirley, and I think Terry weighed like 140 pounds. Alvin, we always kidded that he weighed 300, but the scales only went to 300, so who knows. And Terry beat him in that exhibition match at the rally that drew the greatest attendance and interest we ever had in the school history. And Terry beat him 2-1. Did a great job of running around, keeping away from Alvin Shirley. Okay, he's going to talk briefly about Alvin Shirley, who's already been inducted in football, but unfortunately he's passed away. He's not here. And then he's going to talk about Pete Nabray, who bought all of Delano with him, and then about Mike Peavyhouse, and then Julio Morales as well, and that will cover all the wrestling. So let's hear it for Terry Moreland.